G'day everybody, and welcome back for another Assertive Combat Systems stream. Just before this stream, I was working on a bit of a to-do list of things I would like to have done before I release this mod properly onto Steam. And this is the list I've come up with. If you've got any additional things beyond this list, let me know. So basically, the things I want to do are finish off adding the escort drones to medium difficulty. So last time we got to the point where where we could have certain cargo ships, the more difficult ones, well, a version of all of the cargo ships that would spawn with an escort. And that escort wasn't working. I had the joy of going and asking Lucas, why isn't it working? Help me. And then everything just worked. Like, literally just worked. I didn't change anything. So, that happened. He couldn't explain either. I couldn't explain why it wasn't working either. So, here we are. We have a bison and a mayfly. Let's get rid of the bison because we know its behavior works. And it's not required for the behavior of the mayfly drone. What was happening last time is, as you would approach the mayfly, nothing would happen. Whereas what's supposed to happen is the mayfly is meant to change to a fighter behavior and then shoot you. Yes. So, just before this actual stream, I also might have stuffed up my beginning of the stream by accidentally streaming without audio. Oh, don't tell me this isn't... No, don't do this to me! The triggers didn't trigger! Why? No, not again! No! Why do you sometimes not work? Stupid mayfly. Grrg. I was hoping to show this off working. Goodbye. Ugh. Rude. So rude. Can't believe it. Untargetable doesn't matter for this. There we go. Hostile spotted, moving to intercept. And if we... See? There we go. It's curving its path. It's coming towards me. It's going to start shooting me shortly. And... there we go. So as you can see, I changed nothing between those two spawns. Critical. One of them worked. One of them didn't. Something that Lucas has suggested I could try out doing to perhaps make this a bit more reliable would be to change out the behavior for the drones to be the hunter behavior that the Reavers use, and just use proximity triggers for switching them way that Reavers do when you get too close to them. I had a little bit of a look through the way the hunters work just before this stream, and that might be the best option, but what I may do is try and convince Lucas to come on to another stream with me and do it then, if I'm going to do that, because it sounds like because it looks like I might need to fiddle with more than a few things to get it to work the way I want it to, and to not be effectively spawning mini ACS Reavers. Because there are a few extra little steps to do beyond just copy-pasting the behavior across, because there are a few interconnected parts like targeting and stuff like that that I have to get right. You're welcome, Sick. So, what am I doing today? Well, actually, let's go back to the build checklist. So that's the escort drones to medium difficulty And that's why it's still on the list, because it's not really working properly. And then I want to add big escorts to hard difficulty. So that'll be large grid drone types ships. I've already got a couple in mind that'll be used for that. And then I need to create the variants of the cargo ships that are going to carry the enhanced thrusters. So that is these by Grozob. So these are going to be added to some of the ships, which will be kind of cool because that's going to allow us to have some reason to go after the ships. And they're not OP really. That's 115% peak thrust, 90% peak power fuel consumption. So for your Atmos ships, it could just it'll let you be a bit more nimble or let you get away with fewer thrusters. And I didn't want them to be so big that they are so good that you would fight tooth and nail for them, but I also wanted them to be good enough that it's like, yeah, this is kind of cool. I'm going to try and make my ships with this. That'll be fun. That's an interesting little challenge to do. So that's another thing that needs to be done. I was convinced that this would be fun. So there's a guppy cargo ship, and given what guppies do, Eisen has made a little baby drone which is going to spawn with it at the medium difficulty, and then several of it at the higher difficulty. Jexam created some drones which are going to be the big escorts, so I've got to add them in. For the bases though, and that's what I'm going to work on a little bit today, I want to add drill inhibition to some of them so you can't dig under them, so you can no longer sap these bases at all. And I think that's fair. I need to merge the Assertive Bunkers mod, which is primarily Pav's work, into the Assertive Combat Systems mod, so then you can add a side mod to enable those in your own game, or choose not to, and they'll just sit there inert and not actually get spawned in the game. This is what I want to work on today, though. Add small turret-only bases. So my idea behind this is to basically create a tiny little outpost that very much just looks autonomous. It will not have a beacon. It will not have an antenna. And where is it? Base build. But something that it can be tall enough that I could spawn it with some of the other bases just nearby and offset. So yeah, you'll see the main base, but you may not notice this one little turret that sneakily just shoots you in the back as you go in the door. That sort of thing is what I'd like to try and build to create a little more random variability to the bases. Yeah, my initial thinking is it is anti-personnel, but I think we could also, depending on how it goes, make something with the big cannons too. I don't think I've shown off this base before. I started working... Oh no, I did show this off. I think I posted this on Twitter. But this is a future lunar base that I've worked on. Something because I need to have some of these bases ready for working on the moon, not just working on planets like these ones. Because these ones will all work perfectly fine on atmospheric planets, but we need something that's going to work on the moon as well, because I've recently been experiencing playing Escape from Purgatory on the moon, ACS doesn't work there at the moment, so it has to work there. In fact, let's add that to this list. Add lunar bases, because that needs to be done. I think I have already done that, but I'm not certain. Let's just move that down. So, how am I going to... I'm just trying to think about how I can actually design some sort of turret base that can be on a high enough tower that it doesn't look just like a nerd pole. Because, I mean, the obvious thing is just to do that and then stick a gun on top. Where's my guns? Figure out some way to add some power to it. Because we need power generation on these as well. Or do we? Actually, do we? Could I just have these as battery only? And if they run out of battery power, then, you know, that's fine. How long would it take to run out of battery power? How much power do these use? Does it say anywhere? Do I need build info for that? I think I need build info for that. And this is creative mode, so let's just exit out of here and test quickly. Yeah, if it's something that's going to last days, I'm perfectly happy with that. Because days of power means that, you know, like, if you think about it, even like for me, Survival Impossible, I've probably played on that save maybe 220 to 250 hours. So that is somewhere around 10 days. So if we've got 10 days of power on these things, that's a lot.
Fuel critical.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, guys. I kind of agree. I think there's a good chance that it will be enough. But always worth testing these things rather than just assuming that it's going to be fine. Because I'm going to make it in creative mode, it will have more power than what this, when I place it down, will have, because this is survival. That'll give us a bit of a better idea. Got that. Then we got that. Not likely to. I'm not going to make a rocket turret version of this. Okay, so that fully depletes a 1/3 power battery in 19 days. That's going to be fine. And I'm betting this is the same. Yep. Okay. Does it use more power when it shoots? Nope. Sweet. Yeah, exactly, Heather. I think you're right. I think they are far more likely to run out of ammo before they run out of power. Good confirmation. Okay, all I need to have is a battery. I'm happy with that. Yeah, solar could be an option for the lunar ones, but if I can get away with just a battery, even better. Gives me a lot more freedom in the design. Fully charged battery should, in theory, give me close to 60 days of power, which, as I just roughly worked out, is 3 times as long as Survival Impossible. So I don't think we've got anything to worry about. Although if I start putting some lights on it, then we might start seeing a little bit of a faster rundown, but it's not going to be much. Okay. Just looking at some of these designs and thinking about what would look alright near it. So I suppose one of the obvious options is interior pillars with a anti-personnel turret on top. And the reason I want this 5 meters of height is if I'm going to spawn this near one of these bases, it could be a fair bit down slope from it, which is why it needs to have a fairly tall nerd pole to it. I'm also thinking these might spawn independent. So they'll be like just a random thing you find in the forest and you're like, what? But I'm not certain on that. Yeah, what about wheels? Let's try wheels. Good point. Wheels often look quite good for this stuff. Especially once ground down a little bit. That's not how you spell wheel. And yeah, Alchemo, a hopeful nuisance. These aren't intended to be anything too powerful. These are more just something to make the bases have a little bit more interest to them. Something that just changes them up from being always the same to a bit more variety. So, UFOL, these would not generate additional grids compared to having the regular spawns. So, my idea would be sometimes these would be in place of one of those bases. So, apart from being very easy to find a safe spot to spawn in, they're no different. So you shouldn't end up with any more spawns than are allowed by your settings in MES. Sadly not, Poc. These will spawn as stations, so they'll hover if they're above. Oh yeah, ground up oxygen farms. Let's have a look at that. That's another good suggestion. They can have stuff on the end of them. Oh yeah. And because of the varied shape, that quite works. Okay, not at that level though. That's 2 ground down. I need to be the next tier up if I'm going to do that. And then it's just a bit of steel plate anyway. Yes, final event. You could do that. You could spawn them as a cargo ship and then have them power drop. Not sure I want to go that route though. Given how reliable the landing gear is on on the normal drop pod for survival in space engineers, I don't really trust my own cargo ships to land anywhere useful. Yeah, Alchemist, it absolutely could spawn a cluster instead of just one. So, like, what I could do is, let's just grab this base as an example. If I copy this base, I could have this one set up with a new spawn setting that also has these, like say a pair of these spawning here and here. So that'd be the base you'd come across. Because you can offset spawns using XY coordinates from the original spawn. So that's how I've got the escorts working for the cargo ships. And you can do the same with bases. So I can set these up exactly how I want them to be. And each one will be set up specifically for a base, but it just means that I can quickly create variants on these bases that just means that, yeah, you can see this, but you're like, okay, which version has spawned? Is it the one with the turret over here? Is it the one with the turret over here? Or is it the one with no turrets at all? I just don't know, and it's going to be a bit harder. Bentley, there is a mod that adds stuff that gets dropped on your base. I don't think I'd do that, but I would consider in the future. This is not a pre-release. This is not a thing I'm going to do for the release version, but in the future I would definitely consider having some cargo ships that do more interesting things, like dropping their cargo, and their cargo could be a little outpost if you get too near them, so that gets dropped, and that's another thing for you to engage with, and it just adds a little more story and more interest. But that's a future thing, not a I want to do this before release thing. What are the designs we got? What are the options? Okay, there's my battery. Let's just pop a couple of batteries down. So I have a few things to fiddle with. Thinking could try. Where is it? No, that's what I want. Hey, Greg. Thanks, man. Thanks so much. Yep. Not on Twitch until I get into my new house. My new house is getting close. According to the... So, for those of you not aware, I've been renovating a house that I'm moving into. And when I say I've been renovating, I've been getting someone who knows what they're doing to renovate it. How does that look? Some different scaffold. Probably should get rid of these bits though. Not sure how to do a top to this though. That I didn't think through. Because I'd have to use... Oh, this doesn't work. Like I'd have to have part of this be blocks so that I actually have something so that the turret isn't just free floating. Yeah. Yeah. I'll try catwalk though, that's a good call. This catwalk we can probably make work. Both this type. Ooh, this one could be good because you leave a spot in the middle that's hollow. You can put lights and stuff in there. Because that can sit like that, and then we put the turret on top. Oh yeah, I was thinking ladder. So, how to make ladders work and look good. I think we might be able to do something with this. Obviously I'm going to need to grind these ladders down, but if I put them all around... The other nice thing about doing these right now is this is going to make adding extra bits to the other bases a bit simpler because I'll have some pre-made bits to play with. I think it'd be that, but what I wanted to try as well... Ah, nuts. That doesn't work. I was hoping that'd work. So it's probably best either being a catwalk or being an upside down slab. Because then it'd end up looking like this. Something like this can work as a bit of a tower. So yeah, that doesn't look too bad. I kind of like that one. Because what I can do as well, it looks a bit odd having no supports further down. I can do things like putting an extra slab in, say... Come on, let me place it here. Grind that down. And now it's got a bit more complexity to it and a bit more interest, which I think works quite well. Quite like that one. Oh yeah, let's try it with a... I'll try and see if it looks any good with putting a wheel in it. I'll just finish off grinding these. Let's copy it. And... Might as well finish it if I'm going... Whoops. Don't grind the battery. What? Yeah, I suppose you could do catwalks on all four sides as well. What are the catwalk build states? I'm just getting sidetracked for a second. Yeah, so I can do the catwalk build states as well as another further variant. That should work. Okay, so you can have stuff drop. I'm not sure I want stuff to drop though, TFA. So apparently you can make stuff drop if you spawn it with a tag setting force static grid to false. The trouble with that would be... Well, actually, I could use that for some things. But the trouble with that is then you're creating physics objects every time you spawn something, and that's not nice to people's performance. But say this base, I could have one... I could have a nearby turret set to not be a static grid, or to be kind of rotationally offset slightly, so that it looks a bit like it got knocked around. Catwalk base with ladder extension. Oh, that's actually a really good idea. Try and mix some of these styles so that it's a bit more varied, and that way I can have something even taller. What I was going to do with this one, though, was test out the wheel being supported on something. So let's grab a slab. There. Nope. Yeah, like that's what I was thinking. Kind of works. The giant structures in the background are what the bases in Assertive used to be. I have since abandoned that style, going for something a lot more consistent with the cargo ship style. Because back then we didn't have the decorative blocks. Agreed, UFOL, it does look like a border tower, but I'm okay with that. I actually really quite like that look. Put a pillar under the wheel. Yeah, I could run a pillar up the center as well, I guess. Yeah, my original concept of the Assertive bases mod was to make the bases look alien and unusual. I was trying with these bases to create something that could be spawned on fairly uneven ground, but looked like the legs made sense no matter how uneven the ground was. But they ended up just being really, really rich loot. Even though I did make some of them all decorated inside, I decided to move forward from that design style. Oh yeah, let's try out the tanks. Good thought. It's another nice option. I suppose another one is conveyor tubes. Although I'd need to put something on top of them so they don't work particularly well. Tanks. Let's have a look at what the build states of these two look like, because we don't want a full tank. That's just a bit silly. What we want is that, which is pretty basic but could be useful. And that, which is a little more interesting. And what's the next build state down? Oh, if you're building a chrome base, you could so make some really nice looking pillars out of that. Huh. Oh, is that the first? That's not the first build state of a small hydrogen tank, is it? Does it place as a full thing? Wow. So we got that. And we got that. And that's it. It's only got 2 build states. Odd. Unexpected. Do quite like that. It's amazing with what few blocks we've got that we can actually come up with this many variants on a very simple concept. Like, it's a bit surprising. Yes, I have done a tutorial on how to make these. Haven't I? Sort of. Yeah, I did. Okay, so let's try out. Let's try to do something a bit more. So I quite like this one. This one feels like we could make an expanded version of it that could be a little bit taller, and we'd get away with it. So I'll grab it, paste it on top. No, let me paste you on top. Why won't you sit on top? Grr. Seriously, game? What are you doing? Why aren't you letting me do this? There we go. Oy, that was annoying. Yes, one of the ladders is in a bit different build state. I'll fix that in a sec. And I'm also going to try and decide which build state I want them in. So do we go with the state that has some rungs? Or do we go in a state that has no rungs? I think some rungs might look better. Yeah, I think I like the added depth for this. What do you guys reckon? Look from this side. This style, where it's kind of like that with minimal crossbars, or this style where it's a bit thicker? Kind of like the thicker myself. Just because it's got those rails. There we go. Make something, make something. Yeah, that is another option. Okay, let's just see how this looks in the forest. Actually, I should grab it from a different level. Over to the trees we go. Maybe Solnica, maybe. I'll try it out. So, this would be the sort of scenario where you're likely to run into this thing. I reckon it fits in. I like it. I'm quite happy with this. Oh no, it needs another block. I forgot. There is yet another block that is required for these. We need to have a remote control block. Or do we? No, because it's just a turret. And it's not required to spawn anything, so it shouldn't need rival AI behavior, so it should be fine without any of the fancy stuff. I think. Exactly, Bandolier. That's exactly the scenario I'm thinking of. You're scouting out for stuff, and all of a sudden you get shot at by one of these bases. Wait. Do I need to have the remote or some sort of control seat on this so that MES knows its orientation? I think I might. But what I can just do is this. Stick that down there. What? What would you place on top? Let's do things this way. This works too. There we go. There's always ways around these things. Let's just copy one of these. I'll leave the remote on there, even though I'm not convinced I really will need it, but I don't see much harm in having one down there. If people dig down to it, that's fine. Whatever. Now, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. And try this catwalk. Like that. With my wheel on top. The one on the right looks better, doesn't it? Pretty convincingly so. As I said before on Easy Archer, yes, there is. I've made one. Let's try this in... So the snow skin and the rust skin are the only ones that colour the build states. So we can have frozen ones. I think there's a way to make it so that these would only spawn on snowy terrain. So you could have these spawn in the snow. Fun, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there is a way to make these spawn on specific terrain types. So we could have a snow variant that spawns there. Yeah, Consti, I think that's right. I think there's a voxel check you can do to make it so that it only spawns on a certain type. So we can have like the regular one for in the forests and most places, the snow one, and then we could use the heavy rust on like Pertum only. Yeah, you can. You can do. I'm quite confident you can do checks so that certain bases can only spawn on certain types of materials, which allows you to do painted variants and things. Yeah, 80 to 90% of the time is probably enough. Nope, that was not a good idea. So I wish the light rust would be an option on the build states as well, and battered. All of them, really. It'd be great if we could have all of them work on build states. I wonder if that's moddable. If it's possible to mod it so that these will work on build states, it'd probably be quite a large mod. I'm not sure keen to be okay. You'd require all the DLC, obviously, but it's just odd that they didn't give us that option with the build states, because it does add so much more potential to using build states in builds if you can texture them, because they're not always shiny, barely visible metal, especially when it's not full daylight like I've got here. Not a huge fan of the rusty one, I'll be honest. But I guess that's because it's currently sitting on an ice lake. How does it look in the prairies? Yeah, it does fit in a bit more here, doesn't it? When it's not against that blue ice. Cool. So we have one tower with 3 variants. I have to learn how to add turret only bases to plus have bases work with type of terrain. Did I delete that? I did. Now, since we're all referring to this as the water tower, let's call it a water tower. NPC-AI water tower. Water tower. Here one. Because I'm being uncreative right now. Actually, we can probably just go water tower. Did I not click OK? Did I click escape? Good job, Splits. Water tower chrome. Water tower snow. And water tower rust. Rid of that. Let's move these to somewhere that makes sense around here. Where have I laid out my stuff? Somewhere down here will do. Zoom zoom. Yeah, clean, rusty and frozen. That would fit with the water inside. You are correct. So then we'll come up with a couple other designs, so there's a few variants of these as well. I've been somewhat tempted in the last couple of months to try and come up with something like there's a mod out there that has like miniature bases to find out and about, but to come up with stuff like this that are little scavenger points that you can find, things that are just often not armed but just have the most basic of equipment in them anyway, so even if you find them it's kind of no different to just mining some stone, but at least make your terrain a little bit more interesting and maybe have some little story elements to some of them. Yeah, new, old and cold. That would also have worked. We'll get rid of that. Now. No, is that what it's actually called? The little things, right. So, I think... let's see what we can do with the oxygen farm as the next one. I don't want to start with... oh wait, I've done this wrong. Start with the remote control block, not the battery, Splitsy. What cubish block to start with? What about this ground down? Sure looks different. The new interior block as well is an interesting build set. Alright, let's have a look. Oh, yeah, it's a different one, isn't it? Oh no, it's the old school block, isn't it? It's the same. Wait, which interior block do you mean, Eisen? Captain's log 367. We found our 50th mini tower. Mini water tower seemingly placed in the middle of nowhere for no apparent reason. What could the natives have used these for? Man, what about... That's an interesting thought, especially for this one, is... Oops, that's the wrong thing. I want to use one of them up the top. No, I don't. The other thing I was thinking with this one, instead of using the neons, was putting some catwalks and leaving the paint on. So not grinding them down, but using this as sort of an internal decorative sort of function. So I was thinking another thing to do would be to place these, because you can see through it a bit. Although maybe that's just getting a little too over the top, actually. You kind of lose a lot of the detail, don't you? Kind of like it there. The water towers were not water towers. How could we have been so oblivious to their true purpose? Mistakes were made, and we paid the price. I'll do this. Okay, I'm gonna need my little neons. Where are you? Oh yeah, four-way passage. Yeah. That's another good option. Gee, there are heaps. There could actually be a disturbing amount of variety with these. Don't know why I chose the term disturbing there, but, you know, surprising, I think I meant. Don't really like this block down here, to be honest. Oh, yeah, that's right. The other variant. An exhilarating amount of choice. Yes, a shocking amount of choice. What can I use in here instead? Do I just use a wheel? Or do I lift the whole thing up and put another oxygen farm in? Uh, yeah, actually. Oh, I don't think a basic assembler would work. One of the troubles with the assemblers is that they have their little hand things in there. I don't know if the basic does though. Oh, it's just kind of cubey. Hmm. I forgot that. Wait a second. I should really use this build state more. That's quite cool because, say, this, I think is the way I want it compared to that one. Oh. But yeah, the idea I was trying to go for was these 3 bits being along the sides. And yeah, the first build state was kind of a cool option too. Too many thoughts. Well, so the reason these are so tall is that they are often going to be placed a moderate distance away from these other bases. And the further they are away, the more likelihood there is that the terrain will be dramatically different. There's a small risk with these that they could end up 100% underground in some spawns. But I think that's just kind of a risk we'll have to accept to have the bases be a bit more interesting. Kind of like this one, but I think what needs to happen to it is this. Nope, not that. This. Add some colour to it, even if it's only subtle. William, my assertive combat system, my assertive mods were used on the Escape from Purgatory server. For small groups, the assertive mods work perfectly fine on servers. For bigger servers like Purgatory, any NPC mod becomes a problem. So, yeah, it can always become an issue at scale anyway. Well, let's try this in the trees. So that seems to be the telling point of whether these things will work. What do you guys reckon? Do we have a winner, or do I need to keep working on it? It's got enough interest going on. I think this one, more so than the water tower ones, shouldn't be spawned without a base nearby. Cool. We have approvals, so let's go paste that one in. I don't think I'm going to make a rusty version of this one though. Yeah, William, I kind of want to do the same thing. Make a mod that can work as a salvage-only playthrough mod. And that's why I've been thinking about making a mod with just mini bases that have very little in them, but done with my style. No, Ivan, I messed up the first stream attempt today. That was a splitsy goof. Apparently this is my week for them after uploading the co-op space program video with 27 blank seconds at the start of it. Going well. Right. Not a fan of that. We've done the ladders. Where are the passageway blocks? And now that I've looked at passageway blocks, I kind of want to see what shelves do too. So these feel like they'll need something else on them. And also, I'm not a big fan of this look. It looks like, why did you have this bulge here? Especially when it doesn't continue around the outside. Our shelves won't work because they're designed to work in build states. Never mind. Decoys could though. Yeah, so I think with the top to bottom look, it really asks for something. What could work? I kind of want something where the build state leaves me something on both sides. Or something like this. Just some sort of cross bracing, I think. Yeah, actually. Totally unrelated to what we're doing, but... Oops. Apparently I dismantled one of the towers over there. My bad. This kind of does ask for this. Where is thing I'm looking for? This. kind of almost works, doesn't it? I think if you had this built into your base and you went with the small electric arc and did the same underneath, it would look quite cool. Like imagine walking through someone's base and you could see through on this level, like you're walking around, say, at this height. In fact, I could use this in a research base at some point. This idea. That's right. That was the only block connecting it to the power source. Oops. Split why? Why am I like this? What am I doing? This. And I'm doing this. And I'm doing this. That. There we go. So if I can get in there and stop that being smoke and make it instead the small thing. Electric arc small. So yeah, you walk into a room and you see this. I reckon that look pretty cool. Because there's that circular bit at the base of these things. It looks like it's an emitter. I mean, you could even try and change this to be the big one and see how that works, but I think it'll come outside the containment. Yeah. That's a bit much. This is so often how I come across just little things to do to add decorative stuff to bases, is you're just fiddling around with stuff in creative mode and you go, oh, this is a nice little effect. I don't think there is a spark setting to go medium, unfortunately. In fact, I reckon this looks better without the tinted glass. We instead use this. Yeah, Groz, you might be able to put a welder in, say, on the side or something, but you'd still be able to see it. So I think you'd struggle to get a welder to zap you when you walk in here. Yeah. Actually, these don't have an attachment point on top, do they? No. But yeah, if you use the smoke effect, I guess you could then do this and place a turret on top and make it look damaged. Especially if you went to and change that from a small one to a large one. Trick people into thinking that's broken. Yes, perhaps a 1x2 window would have looked better. Oh yeah, that'd be really cool. Using transparent LCDs on this. Let's go there and there. Then say... I'm totally sidetracked by this concept, but I think that's fine. imagine that was only just down one side. What's we got here? Oh. Oh, oh. Okay, that's an interesting option. Well, that one's sort of got to be set on the top one. Because then you get the cascade effect. It's quite cool. Someone remind me to actually, instead of just asking you guys to remind me, I'm going to place this down over here. This is going to be in an assertive base. I'm going to build a base around that concept. There's going to be a research base with these zappy things in them. Has to be done. That's really cool. I love it when you randomly come across this stuff. Let's clean up my mess. And get rid of that one too, because we've done it. You can't put an alien spider in there, but can you do something? What do the target dummies look like when they're projected? I am really curious about this. Because then we could put a target dummy in there. Aha. So you could totally offset this so that the dummy is shown in the zappy bit. Yeah, you could put an engineer corpse block projection in there. I feel like this might be more what we're after, though. 'Cause, although it depends what angle the corpse is at, I guess. Let's... Oh, it's a bit too see-through, isn't it? Interesting idea. It's kind of like, is this Frankenstein's lab? It's like a robot building machine that's gone haywire and doesn't function anymore. True, TFE. A sentence like, guess it depends on the angle of the corpse. Definitely requires context. Yeah, I suppose if we change the color of the projection, that could help as well, because we're looking at blue on blue right now. The other option, I guess, would be to do this, just to help us get a background. Yes, the block did place. For some reason, Space Engine is taking forever to load up the textures. Do those particles bounce off the projection? They bounce off its helmet, don't they? Or are they bouncing off the side bits and it's just the angle? I swear it's bouncing, some of those particles are bouncing off the projection. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Well, use the reactor effect, which is this one. So if we go... Oops. Oh, that's a bit more than I wanted. Wait, did I do that to the wrong one? That's huge. Okay, that's way too big. Something a little more concentrated. Oh, the reactor smoke's really subtle coming out of that. It's a bit sad. That would have been kind of cool to have it in a thick green smog. Oh, hold up. Not there. You probably want the light here if you... No, not there. Dang it! Come on, brain. Get it together. Jeez. Yeah. Okay, 5 is as far as it can go. Right. Need to be closer. Oh, the smoke's not coming through the block properly, is it? What we got? Smoke white. I'll try that one. See how that one looks. Yeah, again, the smoke's just a bit too separated out. There's not enough of it. I think we're better with the zappy. There we go, something like that. If we change this color to something a little bit more eerie. I don't remember if I've got it so I can rotate the sun in this save. Yes, I can. Yeah, like we can have some screens up. Glad to have inspired stuff. Kane? Wait a second. Huh. This projection is solid. What the heck? Why is the projection of this block solid? Nothing. There's no block here. Like, the projection's there, and it can't be here because the passage is there, so it can't be partially welded. Like, it's impossible. This is... We have 2 blocks occupying the same space. This shouldn't be possible. Confirmed. Space Engineers has compound blocks. Let's just check one thing. Can I walk through this? Yes. Yes, I can. If you turn off the projector, does the hitbox remain? Let's find out. Nope. He's gone. Here's an interesting question. Let's get some light back on this situation. Does it stop bullets? That seems to be a resounding... Wait, what? Now I can walk... Whoa. Can I walk through the other one now? Was that just a very random rare bug? No, this one comes back. What the heck? Why on this one, but not on this one? And on this one... It actually does stop bullets. Okay, there we go. Bet it's there now. Donk. Da da da. Da 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 da. Invincible dummy. This is genuinely exploitable. it seems to be what you need to do is have, like... Oh, man. Ah, you're kidding me. How? How, Keen? How? Like, this is actually exploitable. Well... Okay. Let's see if we can... I shouldn't probably do this on stream, but let's see if we can exploit this. What have we got? I want to have the... Let's just try it with the talisman. So it's relatively small. Then what we do is we create a giant field of batteries. Oh, it doesn't really even need to be batteries, it can be anything. On top of which we place a whole bunch of these. So let's make it even better. Let's make this even more effective. Hang on. So we start with this. Oh, this will be easier in space, actually. Let's go to space. Know exactly what I'm doing here. So, we need a giant cube. Bigger than the ship that we're going to protect with it. Down to here. Then we cover this with the blocks. Right, cover this with target dummies. Probably should have made the block out of glass so it was easy to see through, but I think doing it with armor means we've got the fewest number of polygons. This looks ridiculous. In theory, if it worked for one and it works for more than one by doing this, every single one of these should be a completely indestructible object that is tied to the grid. In fact, let's make it a bit easier to see through this. And instead of being white, let's go completely 0, 0, 0. There we go. All right. Control B. Eventually the voxels will catch up. Projector, blueprints, dummy. Yep, this stream has gotten way off track. Oh, game's not liking this. Look at my sim speed. It just tanked. It is not happy. Let's first... I didn't hear the sound of these ones getting made, so I don't think... Oh, no. Yep, they got collisions. Okay, cool. Let's just move them around the ship. That way. Did I just crash Space Engineers? I just crashed Space Engineers. Whoops. I suppose I should send that log. They might want that. I might try this in a world where I haven't got about, you know, tens of thousands of PCU of bases sitting right near where I'm testing it. That might be smart. Maybe. Perhaps. Let's try that again. I've had that too, UFO. Where the dummies don't seem to actually spawn dummies. Actually, I wonder if this is a creative mode only bug. Yeah, I kind of hope that that world hasn't saved itself at an unfortunate time, but I think it saved while I was still up in space building the cube of armor, so it should be fine. I should probably have measured out the cube of armor a bit tighter around the talisman so that I could drop something a bit neater and have a lot fewer dummies. Yeah, do the dummies need resources to create themselves in survival mode? Does anyone know? I've not tested them enough to have any real ideas. Entity list. Doop. Doop. Delete. Delete. What? I loaded up the same game for a reason. I wanted to just see if it works in this one. I was just hoping I could more quickly delete these things, but for some reason it's not. Wasn't doing things the way I expected it to. Oh, because I keep growing that outpost and I can't remove it, that's why. Okay. Yeah, Nanolis, you probably could do single sides for directional shields, and you could even have it so that you set up the projector to rotate whenever you go to different, like whenever you want it to protect a different side of your ship. Now, I'm going to get some altitude with this thing. It's kind of bizarre. I know I'm totally off, totally lost focus, but I couldn't help but see whether this works. Come on. Don't crash, PC. Yep, there we go. We've got the clunk clunk of things getting welded back up. Oh! It's crashed again. I think I need to make a smaller dummy. I think I had too many. Well said. Well said, Heather. Oh, I should have saved my game. Dang it. Ooh. Ramming move with these. Because they're indestructible. Oh, okay. Okay, that's going to be a more interesting test. Let's try ramming pole because I can use fewer dummies and we can get a good test going. Because that shouldn't crash as easily. Right. Let's get rid of the entities. And that seems perfectly fair, Eisen. One more crash and I have to move on. I probably don't need that long. Let's just go this. Let's keep it to a reasonable scale. Something that shouldn't immediately chunk performance. I'll admit, there is a small part of me that kind of wants to see whether I'd get away, whether this would work in the Star Core tournament. It'd be good for a gag, but that'd be about it, because after you'd done it once, everyone would be like, oh, that's so cheap, you gotta get rid of it. To which, you know, any reasonable person would be like, yeah, fair enough. Okay, that didn't crash my PC, so that's a good start. These ones spawn in. I didn't hear the weldy noise. Yep, they're there. Ow. Dang it. There we go. Suitable target. No, I won't be joining the Star Core tournament. lag would make it, from someone with my PvP experience, unfun. I couldn't tell if that worked. Is it just player collision that it's blocking? It seems it. It's just player and bullet. Aww. At least still solid? Yep. Gyro slash. Let's try that. You need one on each arm of the talisman. Perhaps. Thanks, Rodent. Thanks so much. I couldn't if I wanted to. And most days I don't want to. Projector. Footprints. I will save it after putting it back on this time. Okay, we got our tower. I run into it. We save the game. We grab another talisman. Get rid of that so that it's just not too busy. Let's see what happens if I fly through it. Okay, nothing. Alright, I'm partially inside it. And... yep, still collision. Huh. Sure, let's try a small grid ship. What have we got that'll work? Oh! Yep. Okay, yep. Let's get rid of the grid that's in the way. That definitely felt like a collision to me. Okay, they don't do damage. Insta-stop. Ooh! Alright, I'm done with that. That's fun. That was fun. Well, for a second, what I was going to say is, ooh, these could be a really handy safety device if you put projections of this around anything you need to fly a small grid into. Because you can use them like a safe zone where they just don't take damage, but then it crashed. So, no. I think as soon as I got stuck in it, it didn't like it. I probably should. I will mention this to Keen. I'm not exactly sure what to say about it, but I'll mention it. Drop pods spiked with dummies. Ooh, yeah, that's not a bad idea, actually, Ivan. If you have a large grid drop pod and you put a dummy on it, that can allow you to have a protection, but only if you land on something small grid, because it won't protect you from voxels. So it's no use in that situation. So there's very limited usefulness, this. Very limited. And yeah, the whole crashing the game thing is probably something Keen need to know about, because that's certainly something someone could use to grief servers with, which is not good. So, done the O2 one. Let's get back on topic. This railing one doesn't work. Catwalk. I feel like I like the catwalk for detail, but I'm not such a huge fan of using it for the whole thing. Do. Let's try. What else can I try? What can I do that's not just like a basic tower? What if instead of a tower we do, say, something that looks more like a ruin? Yep, back on task. Back on task now. Doing what I was here to do. Rather than... Oh, look, squirrel. In fact, the idea of a ruin base kind of gives me an idea for a base that you build a ruin and then you build an actual, like, ramshackle base inside it. So for this, definitely need to do a little bit of this. Oh wow, that's still super loud. Why is that gunfire so much louder than everything else? Apologies, headphone users. Whoops. Didn't want that to explode. And then what we've got to do as well is have a few ground down blocks. And do some of this in heavy rust, do some of this in just plain old rust. I thought interior blocks always did deform like armor. Yeah, like something like this. Although I probably want to make this look a bit more like a tower than just a couple of blocks. But imagine running across this in the wild. And again, apart from the turret, this is only iron you're getting, so there's nothing fancy about it, but it would certainly have a chance of killing a few people. This could be what I do for the freestanding, for more of the freestanding versions. And yeah, some fallen towers and things like that. Yeah. I think I really like that idea. But I think I'm going to have to save that to be an addition that I do after the release of assertive combat systems. Something that I can do to, I could probably make a couple of them, couldn't I? I'm trying to decide whether there's too much work to make these variants or whether these variants are worth it for going into the release version of ACS. So at the moment, those are the bases we've got. Actually, including those ones. Yeah, let's put a pin in that, I think. And nice idea, Ivan. Go for something a little bit bigger. Still small, but bigger. So a 3x3 would need to be this. Let's see if I can make this thing a bit more decorative. So I reckon this could be a large turret version. In my head, I'm just thinking this to begin with. Let's not just have boring sides. Let's go with that. Or is it going to look better with one? Nope. I think it is better with just this. Oh, no, wait. Let's try this block. Where is it? That one. Which of these two looks better? You could have a variant with cargo container. Yep. Yeah, agreed, Eisen. I think good without the extras. I think there are enough bases for now, especially since there are variants on each one. So what do you guys reckon? The first one? The second one? Or the third one? So that, or that. So first or second? Right one, first one, first. Josh, the Survival Impossible will hopefully be coming back soon when I can move into my house. Alright, most people are leaning towards the first one. I kind of agree. Initially, I think, like, part of me wants this one to work, but it's the texture that's on this block that doesn't make it work, and the fact that we've still got these edges around it, that I feel like that one stands out a bit more, whereas this looks a bit more intentional. Let's try see what happens when I do some build states with these instead of doing them full. Now what do you... is that better? If we're going build states, I think this one's better, because there's more detail up there. But if I'm going full... What could we use to make this a bit more interesting? Glad I got your name right. I don't always get people's names right. I try though. Suppose the other option is get rid of that. Have them stick out. Does add a bit more depth, doesn't it? Because then, with that done, I could do something either by painting these bits blue, or painting the inset part blue and leaving the rest grey. Yeah, I've probably done that. Oh. Yeah. Maybe I do like that with all the blue. I think, though, we need to go and try a different texture on that. I'm going to need more detail as well on this, because it is... I kind of like the look, but I'm not sure how I feel about how basic it is, I guess. Trying to think of a better way to say that, but I can't think of one right now. Finn, the reason I stream on YouTube at the moment is because Twitch hates me and does not work for me. I get heaps of dropped frames and it only happens on Twitch, does not happen on YouTube, so I stream here instead. So I'm going to look at this with the blue inset. I suppose it could have both variants. They both kind of look okay. Place the slabs with the window blocks and have something visible inside. Perhaps. Did just have another idea though. Kind of like the blue one better. It might be because I've got battered on the prominent bit. Battered armor. But I think I prefer the blue. Still, I think I could keep both. What I was thinking of doing, let's just copy another one, was the passage blocks. Let's see what we can do with this. Try putting the power things in there, the emitters. I guess you could do that. I don't think I want to do that for something that's meant to be a very basic build. Maybe if I, instead of put that down that low, let's get rid of them and do it up a block. What I'm thinking is that. And I forgot to do symmetry! I should have been using symmetry mode. Unfortunately, antennas take up 2 blocks, so I'd need to elongate the structure to fit the antenna in. But I kind of like this, as is. That's some interesting depth. Beacons in the middle to see if the thing shines. Oh, that was meant to go onto my hotbar and it didn't. Yeah, I mean, you could do that. Does quite look kind of cool as a lighthouse or something. I can't wait for these things to plague my world. Yes. Another option for this is Something Capac would very much approve of. And let's just... Where is it? Rotational speed. 0.005. How slow is that? Yeah. Does make it feel like it's guarding something, doesn't it? In fact, I've got an even better way of doing this. This is wrong. This is not optimal. Optimal would be turning my suit lights on, putting these in, and then putting these on. There's no way to rotate the other way with these, is there? Don't think there is. Ooh. Yeah, those spidery bases were nasty, Dressier, back when I had them. Agreed, Eisen. It does look like something a Swedish robot would be guarding. I'm not much one for adding spotlights to builds, but I feel like that's kind of cool. What do you guys reckon? Like, let's put this somewhere where we don't have the ice lake. Let's get some trees. Where are some trees that are close together? I think those ones are the closest. So it spawns near trees. Yeah. The lights are coloured. They're slightly yellowed. I wouldn't put a sensor on these because you'll have destroyed it before you get close enough to ever see the lights then. I'm I'm hesitant to use flicker because it's regular. So if I did that, if I was like putting a blink interval on there. That looks more like a dance party. Oh yeah, absolutely, Topsihick. It totally would be some sort of alien Jurassic Park to have these. I kind of like that they sweep in opposite directions now. Okay, I'm sold. I like this. I do like this. That's 3 different towers. This one needs to get a remote control block on it though, which I've forgotten to do. Now these won't, at least initially my plan for these does not involve them having any sort of actual rival AI functionality. But if I build them with these remote control blocks on, then I could add some behaviors later. Thinking back to earlier when I wasn't sure whether I should bother adding them. But having them, I think, means I can put some basic sort of thing on there if I want to. If you're going to keep the flicker, you got to have some German techno installed on a sound block. Oh dear. Install some Eurobeats. I think that's probably going to be enough turrets, isn't it? Because we're not going to see these that often, and it's more just to so I can have easy, medium, and hard versions of these bases without having to create whole new bases. I can just add more of these turrets around them. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I'm happy with those. I'm going to clean this mess up over here, but I'm going to be back tomorrow morning with Capac for some more streaming fun. Our plan for tomorrow, at least when we last spoke about it, was to play a game called Night of the Dead, which is a tower defense zombie game. Assuming it works, that's what we'll be playing. Otherwise, we'll probably come back with some more Gen Zero, I think. So aside from my distraction, I feel like I made some small progress towards getting Assertive ready to go in a way that I'm happy. And also came up with some ideas of how to expand it in the future. Cool. So yep, back for more streams. It'll be here on the YouTubes tomorrow, as well as more Escape from Purgatory on Saturday. So there's all that and plenty more to come. And I will see you then. Thanks for coming.